This is Jump and Shoot playing Johnny Five is Alive, and we are about to do an in-game trade that I'm actually able to do right now. I forgot I had a Mantine that I named Manray, and there's a Tangrowth that they have, and I'm like, I could use a Tangrowth, an actually defensive grass type, and something that can actually use grass moves better. Alright, so we have Tangles, the Tangrowth. I think I had a run in both games, Black and White and White. Black and White 1 and Black and White 2, where I only played the game with the in-game trade Pokemon. They're a lot better in this game. Alright, so we have Giga Drain and some other crap. An Ancient Power, alright. And this guy can actually like go up against flying types because his defense is so high and other shit. So that'll be cool. You don't need this Citrus Berry. So in the whole month of May, I was playing Breath of the Wild 2, Aka, Tears of the Kingdom, and it was pretty good. A lot of people think that the first game is like brilliant, awesome, amazing, cool, great. I just think it's okay. In retrospect, like a lot of that game is fleeting moments, and when it's over, it's just like, oh, there wasn't really much to it. Now that I think about it, because like the game is designed for you to the game is designed for you to go straight to Ganon or whenever you want to. And it kind of demeans like the rest of the objectives in the game. I have 4 heart scales. Why am I not just like using those? Anyway, and I had a problem with like the dungeon introduction and structure. Whereas like in other games, you would spend a lot of time in a dungeon, and then this game introduced like just activating 4 terminals. And then the boss, which was like just a different form of Ganon, and that was boring. And then right before the dungeon, well, the dungeons weren't really dungeons either. It was like you were going inside the ancient mechs to regain control of them, and then you fight like a different Ganon variant, and it was just like repeated itself too much, I thought. And yeah, going back to that, I don't really have much fun doing anything in there. I played the DLC, which gave you the motorcycle. That was cool. There's like a motor based dungeon where everything is based around like spinning reels and stuff and activating energy things. I don't know how else to explain it, but so yeah, I also didn't like that you find like the descendants of the race that died in the original like legend, where they used 4 guardians to try to kill Ganon, but it didn't work, and then Ganon took control of all of the robots, and that's why they're all evil. And then you find them, and they take you to the dungeon. They take you to the mech, and you do like this cool action minigame with them, except for the Goron guy. It's just an escort mission, and it's lame. And then you go inside and they don't go with you, so it's like kind of lame. And I feel like the structure of that should have been reversed, or just changed up a bit, where you fight the Ganon that's outside of it, and then the thing is still evil, so it's fucking Terrakion right there. You do that, and then you fight and then you do the dungeon, and then when you come out, it would be cooler if you Then you fought the giant mech with the team member from the Descendant or whatever. It would have been cool if it was that order, in my opinion. And then Tears of the Kingdom fixed a lot of that for me. And then Tracheon. Who is that? Oh, it's Colress. It's been a long time. Terrakion is one of the 3 Pokemon, I already have 2 of them, who protected Pokemon from the flames of a human conflict. It is likely that Terrakion has picked up the scent of danger that might arise from Team Plasma. It is probably seeking a Pokemon trainer with the strength to stand up to them. It is very interesting that Terrakion appeared before you. That aside, do you plan to confront Team Plasma? Nah. I see, that works as well. You and your Pokemon can proceed down your own path. What you should do is care about your Pokemon to bring out their power. Yeah, whatever. Hey, thanks. I don't know what that is. The Colress machine. That energizes Pokemon. It doesn't work on battling Pokemon. You may find it useful for something. What? The Colress machine. In the Seaside Cave on Route 21, I saw something that reminded me that when I went on Route 4. Okay. Bye, nerd. Well, I know they reset after every... I think the legendary spawns reset. If you accidentally kill them, they reset after you beat the Elite Four. Grow! Okay, so in the new game, I like that the structure is you find the Descendants. Some of them are reused, and there's like 2 new ones. Or not, just one. There's one new one because Tiba, the bird guy, he's like not with you anymore, or he's too busy having a family to go to cool things. So you find an Descendant, and then you have to find a dungeon together, and you have to do the dungeon together, and you fight the boss together. It's like, it's okay. It feels like I'm actually having a party member situation, and like amassing a group of like heroes, and it feels cool. I hope you don't kill him with this, because that would be bad. Sacred Swad. I wonder if I took Terrakion instead of Virizion and then kept this guy as my grass type. No. Well, it depends on the nature of it. If it's a bad nature, I'm just gonna keep what I already have a fighting type. So, and I already have like electric type base adjacent guy, so I don't want to use a timer ball. So I don't want to I don't want to have too many fighting types. So yeah, you spend a lot more time with the people. Oh wow, 1 Pokeball. You spend a lot more time with the people, and it feels you develop a connection with them better. In a game where usually you don't team up with anybody, it's a nice change of pace. The powers this time around are not like offensive based at all. So when you're in combat, the only thing you have is like the weapons and the items and the materials you find to use in conjunction with those. Because like there's no bomb, there's no magnet, there's no time stop. So a lot of the other runes in this game are purely like transportation and utility based. And they're way more good in like puzzle solving. I feel like that's what they wanted to focus on this time around. Instead of like combat, it's more like how creative can you be this time, and I do appreciate that a lot. And it's a lot harder this time too, because for plot reasons, all your weapons, every weapon you come across is like rotted and old and hard to use. They don't last very long. So to prolong their use, you have to attach things to them with the fuse mechanic. So like you can attach like an animal part to a weapon, and its attack power increases. And I actually like that a lot more. Like people are still butthurt about like the weapon breaking thing, but the whole point of the game is to not get you attached to weapons. So as soon as you learn how to do that, then it becomes like an actual okay mechanic. But yeah, like I like that, because I like it better than the first game. Because in the first game, you would find a weapon and its stats would be like terrible, or not like terrible. They would just be fixed no matter what. And there's fixed item locations in the game, so in the same dungeon, in the same shrine, you're always gonna find the electric sword with like a base power 20. And all the elemental weapons are weak, so they're not that interesting. And then the normal weapons you find with high attack power, they never go beyond like 40 or 50 anyway. So I like this engine where you can increase the power to something like all the way to like 92 with like a really rare monster part, and then just like take out enemies like fast like that, and that's cool. Okay, so Team Plasma should be gone from here. I was gonna heal somebody. I think I already did. Alright, so we have like kind of a wall pivot to use like entangles. Alright, how long does wait until everyone arrives? Wait, what? Was I supposed to go to the seaside cave but the crystal was there? Oh my god. But yeah, it just fixes a lot of things that I thought were lame about the first game. Your materials matter more. It's a lot harder to get armor in this game too, I noticed. And the reason why is because you can actually sell armor. You can kind of sell the ones you aren't going to use or upgrade. And in case you lose some of your armor for whatever reason, you can buy them. You can buy them again from a different store. And I'm noticing that I think they have new set traits. Like once you they all have like their usual set traits too. Like, oh yeah, this one increases your defense, but if you have the whole set, it'll do an extra thing. Like the only set that I found way earlier in the game was like the light suit, which was just like a bunch of glowing balls on you, and it was mainly made for the underground zone, the dark lands, and beneath Hyrule. But if you upgrade all the way, you get the set bonus, which is you leave light steps, which every time you step on something, it leaves like a light trail. Like, oh, that's not that useful, but it's cool, I guess. I haven't explored every set bonus, and I beat the game already, so I'm not really feeling like much like playing more of it anyway. But I guess I appreciate that you can sell armor this time around instead of just like collect them all and they just kind of sit there. Alright, so I'm supposed to go to Seaside Cave. Alright, this is Route 22. I'm supposed to go back to Route 21? The quests... I noticed there's not a lot of shrines that are blatantly hidden. Or they're hidden not that bad, I would say. I actually wanted to find them all because because the way they work in this game is that they're all in the surface world, and they're not like ones that are hidden underground or just like a few, but not a lot. There's a lot of the ones are in the sky because it's a new sky portion too. The game has like 3 tiers of exploration. It's like 3 times as big as the first game. It's kind of cool. The bosses this time around are really good. They're diverse. They're like, I like the way the Gibdo work in this game. They're like insect mummies instead of like, your traditional monster movie rap mummies. They're just giant bugs that don't respond to light very well. So you have to use like electric attacks on them or use light. Light is a new element in general, so you can use light objects on them to make them vulnerable. And then every time you defeat a boss, that descendant like kind of spirit stays with you, and then by the end of the game you have this like little squad of people following you, and it's really cool. And they also do attacks. Their AI is not that great, but I just like having a party in Zelda. It's cool. And I wish it was like actually them and they were like saying phrases and stuff, because Zelda is normally a quiet game. There's not a lot of people talking, so I would love for them to be following you around. It's like the opposite of Sonic, or like you have characters who won't shut the fuck up, and then Zelda, they're quiet a little too much all the time. So I'd like to hear them be like, kind of like little voice clips. But what are you gonna do? Overall, super cool game. I like it a lot better than the first game. There's also way more mainline quests. I don't mean like side quests, but like mainline quests. Because in the first game, it's like, okay, find your memories, find Zelda, defeat Ganon, and then something about Kakariko Village. That's like the main 4, and then activate the Guardians. I guess it's like 5. But in the sequel, there's like 8. There's find Zelda. There's investigate these strange places. Visit all the landmarks that appeared after the upheaval, which were these like glowing giant glyphs on the ground. And then there's memories attached to those, and there's a lot of those. I need to find my max repel so I can stop running into shit, so I can look for things. And then there's investigate like 3 different types of ruins and find, like, translate messages and fill this out and fill that out. There's a lot more to do, and that's super cool. And then on top of that, there's like the regular like side quests that are character based. And then the new Yiga Clan quest line is a lot more expansive and involved. I like it. Yeah. And I haven't even brought up the main mechanic, which is now that you can build shit with the fuse. I think it's a fuse. It's just this hand, like and there's it combines the magnet with a different ability from the first game. So now that you have something that can grab things and attach them to it, they don't have to be made of metal. It can be like literally anything grabbable. And then you can build like little vehicles and contraptions together with it. And that's the main focus. There isn't a lot of use of that towards the end of the game. I noticed I thought you would have to race like somebody in a vehicle or something dumb like that. So I should be able to go this way now. Wait, hold on. Where am I going? But yeah, you can construct vehicles, and they save in your system's like memory. Not the system memory, but you have like a history to go through. Like, oh, I need this again. I could just rebuild that real quick. Or if you look around, you can build something like that glides or runs around on wheels really fast, and it's cool. This gets compared to Nuts and Bolts really a lot. So the problem with comparing Nuts and Bolts to Zelda is, from what I'm seeing, it's a lot of saying in retrospect, hey, Nuts and Bolts is good now because Tears of the Kingdom is basically this. You guys, you don't have to be mad at Nuts and Bolts anymore. But the problem with that is Nuts and Bolts was supposed to be a follow-up in a series of like collectathon platformers, which I liked, and then after Banjo-Tooie, you didn't hear anything about this series for a long time, and then there was that weird GBA game, but nobody cares about. But the follow up after that was Nuts and Bolts, which completely went against like everything about the first two games. Visually, I like it. I like all the redesigns of some of the characters. I like the visual direction. Everything is like patchwork and paper, like crafty looking. Everything's not like stitched together. I get it, but a lot of the game is mission based, and the opening of the game just kind of shits on anyone who liked collectathon platformers with logbox. Like, I've heard both things. Microsoft egged on Rare to pick a different game genre to use because gamers, quote unquote, don't like platformers anymore. But then I also heard that the devs actually wanted to do something different with the series, but I don't buy that, considering if that's true, whatever, it's out there, but I don't buy that, because why would they make a new game and then alienate all their fans? The opening of the game finds Banjo and Kazooie just like out of touch with everything, and Logbox comes down and says, alright, let's get you back in shape by having you do mundane platformer shit. It's just like a straight line of collectibles. It's just kind of like shits on the idea of the collectathon platformers. Like, dude, why would you do that? And the collectathon platformer is still strong today, so they can't. So it's just outdated commentary, because the fan base is still going strong for those. We have A Hat in Time, we have Psychonauts 2, there's Mario. Any Mario game is a platformer. Tears of the Kingdom is basically a collectathon too. You have to get tiers, you have to get like things, you have to collect a lot of things. You have to collect Korok seeds, you have to collect this, collect that. Like, it's like almost the same thing. But what makes Nuts and Bolts a terrible follow-up is that, pretty much. Just the alienation of the genre and the people who like that genre. Like, it just doesn't work as a comparison. And in my eyes, it might be a good game as a standalone if you look at it as a spin-off from the rest of the series, but like, and if we at some point we got Banjo 3 and it was like the older games but better and bigger, and okay, in retrospect you could say that, okay, Banjo Nuts and Bolts was like it was weird, but it was a good game. And people might say that now, but in my eyes, it'll be forever a terrible follow-up to those first two games, because of what I've said earlier. And that's why I can still be mad at Nuts and Bolts. Like, imagine if Crash 4 came out, and instead of what it is now, capitalizing on the fact that it's a platformer like the other games, it was a card battler, and the devs were like, we just wanted to try something different for the series, because, you know, Inscription is out, Hearthstone is out, card games are popular now, but we can't just go around saying, oh, but those games are out, therefore you don't have to be bad at it anymore, because it's like the same thing. It's like, well, no, it's nobody wants to see that in their follow-up to a sequel, you know? Come on. And that's why I still don't care to look into Nuts and Bolts. So yeah, that's the comparison I keep seeing a lot. Like Banjo-Kazooie, or Legend of Zelda, Nuts and Bolts. Zelda can get away with doing a lot of things. That's one of them. So yeah, that Zelda has the same mechanic, but it's also just not like 90% missions, and then every boss in Nuts and Bolts is just grunty, and then there's a final fight with Grunty, and like that's it. It doesn't go beyond anything than that, and it's like kind of boring. The worlds look great, but guess what you do in them? The platforming is like put on the back end. you don't really collect things. In fact, I'm pretty sure you just find parts while platforming, so you can use to build them for missions, and then all the missions are just like knock over these bowling pins. But first, you have to build a thing that's like ball shaped, like, or reach this point in the level, and you have to build like a flying thing. It's like, okay, I don't want to do that in a Banjo Kazooie game. I'm sorry. So I have to fucking find Seaside Cave. Why can't I find it? Okay, I found where I'm supposed to go. And that is this way. But yeah, in short, no, nuts and bolts, no. Wait, was that what the Culver's machine does? Crystal! Oh, I have to fight it. That's not cool. And I have seen a lot of funny memes that have come out of building shit. Like, people are building like wooden mechs. And mechs is a strong word. It's just like a big thing that maybe moves its leg and arm, and that's about it. Like, they don't really work like mechs. But the best thing you could do is make like a violent spinning contraption with like spikes and fire coming out of it. What is super lame though is these things break after like using them for a while. I thought it was just because there's a mechanic where you can auto build something using the material you find, and they're made up of like energy. They're all, instead of like being made of metal, it's all green energy. And they're like temporary pieces. Like, okay, if you build something with auto build, then they go away. I get it. But if I use something that I found on the field, they shouldn't be going away, and they do break. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I built like a glider that I found on the ground, and I put like fans on it that are also near the ground, and it'll start blinking green and then just explode. Like, oh. But I found this. It's like, it's real. It shouldn't be going away. Why? It's lame. My favorite thing to explore has been the underground, because it actually feels like a new game. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Tears of the Kingdom is basically the same game with like new powers. Like, it's the same region, you know. I'm not gonna dance around that. So what has been cool is I'm trying to like go to areas I remember from the first game and see if they're still there, if they changed it all or whatever. And they've added like some things, or now you can't go somewhere, or now this place is layered different. There's none of the Guardians, I noticed. There's no hint of them even existing. Like the divine beasts that you find in the first game, that like they're not in their usual spots, like they are in. They're not in their usual spots in the second game. So, and there's no like lingering. There's no like remnants or ruins of the other Guardians, like the Walker ones that shoot lasers at you. There's nothing of that. All there is these other different types of robot things that come alive that are, I don't know. They kind of just act autonomously from Ganon, and they're also seen sometimes fighting the Moblins and other enemies. And what you can do is like kind of lure them away and make them fight the other kinds of enemies. And you just have like a little war going on in front of you. It's like, huh. They're just like not associated with Ganon, so they kind of just kill whoever, in even Link sometimes, and that's weird to me. And it's also cool to see some of the returning enemies come back. Like I've already said, the Gibdo have returned. There's likes now. What else? I would have wanted to see a Peahats, the giant spinning pineapples that scare the shit out of me in Ocarina of Time. those would have been fun to see come back. Or there's no Tektites. There's no other classic Zelda enemies, I noticed. There's new ones called the big bokoblins. They're like boss bokoblins. They're just like bigger dudes. And there's no, I forgot what they're called. It's like these big frog assholes in the underground. What else is there? Oh, there's new flying enemies. Aerokudas, I think they're called. They're just kind of like flying enemies. They die in one hit. They're like bigger keys. And that's cool. And then there's these wall master assholes. They look like wall masters, but they're actually called gloom swarms, because that's the whole thing with this game, is that everything is affected by gloom. All the weapons, some of the areas. The underground is pretty much all gloom. It's all pitch black down there, so you need light to light the way. It's really interesting. Like, if new Zelda looked like that, I wouldn't mind at all. I'd be like, well, the world has gone to shit. Everything's underground now. Instead of going to the sky and Skyward Sword, and then you're going to, like, the underground. It kind of has, like, all the layers of, like, most Zelda games that you might have seen in the day. Back in the day. I was going to hit that Survivor, but then you stole him from me. It'd be cool if I got... Oh, hell yeah, I dodged the attack. It'd be cool if I got a level up, like, right now. Yeah, but I spend more of my time in the underground, and it is, like I said, the open world format. We can do anything at your own pace. So, I would only ever go for the main story stuff when I got bored of exploring, and I was just like, I need to fucking advance the story right now. Like... The thing is, with me in overworld games, I need changes of scenery or else I get bored. So I like being able to go from the sky to the overworld to the underground at any point in time. Just like being able to world hop-ish, kind of. What else? And it's also just like a lot easier to traverse too. Since you can build vehicles... You can build like a car real quick to just drive long distances. It actually makes the horses obsolete. I don't know why you would ever need horses in that game, since you can just build a car and fly around with a gliding machine, or just like build a platform and just put fans on it and just go straight up. Like, you don't need horses in that game. So yeah, it's just a lot more fun to explore. And the puzzles this time around are a lot more physics-based. I mean, they were before, but now they're even more so. Now it's like, okay, you have to figure out how to keep this thing afloat in the air with energy. And then, like, figure out how to turn on this switch to make it shoot a laser, or turn off this mechanism that's shooting water, and stuff like that. Or use what's around to build something to traverse the quicksand in the ground, and then go through the whole triangle with that, and it just gets increasingly more difficult within the dungeon. It's like, all right, I like this. In the first game, you have to rely on, like, it's mostly just like put the ball in the cup puzzles. It's kind of dumb, or I mean, it's not dumb, but that's just kind of a lot of what the physics-based puzzles were. It's like, oh, use the gyroscope to make this hammer hit the ball, and try to aim it with like these awful motion controls. Yeah, enough of that shit. There's like almost no motion stuff other than aiming that I turned off because I don't like aiming with that. I mean, it's good if you want to be precise, but I'm just got good at using control stick, so be careful. The barriers are gonna shock you to death, little girl. Okay, so what we need to do is go around the worlds. Oh, wait, there's an item here. Oh, retaliate. Oh boy, my favorite. I'm glad they took out retaliate is still in the game. I think in Scarlet and Violet, but that's such a like a specific move. It doesn't do much for me. Or like it's only good if Pokemon before you dies, and it's only also good after that if they're stabbed too. Okay, what does he say? Oh, he's sleeping. Well, so now what? I can't advance in the thing. Oh wait. Oh, we have to go underground. I'm going in the ground. What you doing in the ground? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. That's my impression of a guy who's like high on cocaine. Wait. I no need to be suspicious. This uniform is a disguise. I'm X-Team Plasma. While what I am now is a spy to guard against anything bad might cook up. It must be a hard job to keep an eye on your former allies. So you don't know if anything about a purloin? Nope. Okay. Damn, he just said that. But I wanted to save Pokemon. Yeah, but they tricked you, didn't they? Alright, so we gotta fight this person. They should all have mostly dark types, which would mean that Scrapped Punk is a good lead for these guys. Ha. Aha. So the Wall Masters, what they do is they inflict gloom on you, which can seal off one of your hearts. So like they'll be grayed out and they'll be permanently gone. And they only go away when you get away from them. But so even if you heal, the hearts are still just like dead. Like they basically take your life force in real time. And it's crazy. And you finally kill one. Actually, I don't think they're all like this, but I finally killed my first one. And then fucking Phantom Ganon appears. So it's like, oh shit. Phantom Ganon is here. So he's like another boss type enemy, like a Hinox or a Molduga or one of those guys. So they can just like appear. And actually, that's a good bullet point that I wanted from Phoenix Rising is that, like, while you're walking around in the field, like, a boss character can just find you and try to kill you. And that's what was missing. Not missing, but, like, it's a nice add-on for Tears of the Kingdom. Or, like, and now a boss can just find you in the field and you have to deal with it. It's really interesting to play around. And it adds a lot of danger, too. It's like, oh, shit. I mean, there's ways to just, like, permanently increase your health. Or just, like... There's ways to negate the gloom damage. But, especially in the overworld, it's just, like... In the day zone, they just come back to you after a certain amount of time. But in the underground, they stay permanently lost until you find a light source or go back to the surface. So that's, like, an interesting, like, danger mechanic to deal with. So I had a lot of fun with that. And back to the bosses. Like I said, they're all not just Ganon. One of them is a Gibdo. One of them is like a little... Spoilers for Zelda. One of them is like a little squid that shoots ink. And it shoots like ink made of sharks and other animals, and it's like really, it can get really dangerous. And there's like new Goma type, which is like a giant rock Goma. And then there's who else is there? Oh, there he is. That's Justin's wife. Justin's wife is a boss. And then Justin doesn't like Zekrom as much, but I'm pretty sure Justin RPG likes the taste of Zekrom P. I don't know how he knows how it tastes like, but in his canon, it does. He just knows these things, and you can't correct him or else he'll get mad on a certain website that I can't tell you about. Um, and there is this big ice bastard. I think he's like a... It's called Kolduga, but it's like a big centipede boss that's made of ice and it flies around. I was like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. And what's cool about these bosses is that you can refight them all. Unlike in the first game, you find them in the underground, just like kind of chilling, and then you can refight them to get like one of their monster parts or whatever they drop. You know, I only refought 2 of them so far, and I thought that they would all drop something, like, cause like the ice boss drops one of his claws, so you can attach it to a weapon, and you can increase attack power by a lot. But I fought the fish one again, and it just drops like Octorok parts, like a balloon and some eyes. Like, oh, that's lame. It's kind of stupid. So, yeah, I hope the rest of them drop like some kind of thing that's actually usable. And then, what else? Yeah, just overall, the game like ups its ante from the first game like by a lot. A lot more fun to go back to. There's an actual fight with Ganondorf. Ganondorf's in the game. You know what he looks like now. You find him as a dehydrated mummy at first, but then later on in the game, he becomes hydrated Ganondorf, as people like to call him, because now he's like buffed out and full of water. It's not actually water, but you know what I mean. And he's actually pretty tough. He almost made me use up all my resources. Or it's like in the first game, you fight Calamity Ganon, and he's just kind of like a sponge of damage, and they make him like tedious to fight with it. Because what you're supposed to do is get all the divine beasts, and they negate his half by they cut his HP in half, so it just kind of lessens the intenseness of the fight, I guess. And all your weapons break too fast anyways, so if you really want to fight him without doing those things, you have to have like all your weapon slots maxed out. And it's not like you can only increase your damage by using meals, so like they're all gonna break fast anyway. It's just not that fun to do, in my opinion. And then the final fight with Ganon, the true form in Breath of the Wild, it's just ride your horse and shoot the 6 glowing spots with the light arrow that we just now gave to you for the end of the game. That has you can't use it in any other part in the game. Like, you're not being resourceful when you're using this one-time thing specifically designed for this part of the game. And it's just such a Nintendo boss. Like, oh no, we've got to hit the thing 3 times. We've got to hit the big, hard to miss glowy spots on Ganon. And it's not that interesting. I feel like... And then that game ends just kind of open-ended. Like, Link, do you remember everything about me? And then Link just makes his face, and then the game ends. It's like, what was this? It was just more like a gameplay experiment than like a chapter in the Zelda lore, if you think about it. Whereas like Tears of the Kingdom actually like takes it further and takes the legend of like evil further with like the new incarnation of Ganondorf, how he came from, why he looks kind of like Demise. He's able to tap into that ancestral evil that he's been given from Demise, and he actually looks like him too when he becomes the Demon King. Oh god damn it. So rock climb makes you confused. Oh god damn, the accuracy of this is so shit. Okay. And it takes I guess it's kind of like Majora's Mask of the modern gaming era, or it's actually a sequel to a game, and it takes a lot more liberties with what they do. They do more weird shit, and I'm down for Zelda doing weird shit. Because it's fun when you're playing Majora's Mask and there's like, oh, there's aliens. Oh, we have to deal with this curse. There's a giant skeleton king in Ikana Canyon. There's a song you play that makes you spawn like a weird version of yourself to use like a switch to weigh things down on switches. And you can turn into things in Majora's Mask, and that was really cool. You can turn into a Zora, a Goron, and a Deku Scrub. Like, I like turning into things in Zelda games. Or, I can't really say that since Majora's Mask is like the only time you do that. And then there's the whole Fierce Deity Mask. It was like, a lot of that game is pretty catharsis. Yeah, it's good. Tears of the Kingdom, solid game. But it is still kind of like the first game, but better. It's the first game, but better, and that's better than most games that you could say with a direct sequel.